G'day, this is Mr. Thompson. I'm going to show you how to build this little guy. It's a little robotic car. It's based on Arduino. It's Bluetooth controlled, so you can control it with your phone, and it costs about 20 bucks. It doesn't take too long to assemble. Let me show you how to do it. Okay, here's what you'll need. You'll need an Arduino Uno. So I bought that one for about $4.14. As you can see there, I got it from AliExpress. That's a Chinese version, and it works. It's completely compatible with the normal Uno, except it's got a slightly different UART. So you'll need to get the right drivers for that, but nice and cheap. You will need a motor shield. This is an L298 motor shield. Now there are a lot of L298 motor shields because the L298 refers to the actual chip that does the powering of the motors. But this one here, as you can see on the screen there, I got that one again from AliExpress. It cost me less than $6. And that one, the nice thing about this one is it's got you can mount your Bluetooth controller there. It's a shield which so the shield fits on top of the Uno like that. You can push that together. I'll show you how to do that later. Again, nice and cheap. All right, a Bluetooth serial module. This one here, and again, that one's on AliExpress. There it is. It cost me $3.70 or so. All right, what else have we got? We need motors and wheels. So these are the gearbox and the motor and the wheel all come together. A couple of dollars each, as you can see there, and I have soldered some wires onto there. So there are wires there. You'll need to solder those on. That's the only soldering you'll need to do. Everything else just clips or screws into place, or blue tacks or whatever. All right, you will need a USB cable. You'll just have to get one that's got the correct plug for your Uno. So that's that one there. You'll need some core flute. So core flute is this stuff here. It's it looks like corrugated cardboard, but it's plastic, nice and cheap. You can get it from a hardware store. A caster ball. You'll need some sort of a caster ball or a wheel. Now, what I've done is I've used my 3D printer, and I printed a little caster ball holder there. So I got the design from Thingiverse. Where's that? From Thingiverse, here it is. There's the design from Thingiverse. So thank you to CUDA Engineering. And what happens is the ping pong ball just pokes into there, slots in like that, and that makes a nice little caster ball that I can use. To be honest, a lot of the time the ping pong ball just skids around anyway. So if you don't have a 3D printer or access to a 3D printer to do that, don't worry about that. What you can do is you can just blue tack the ping pong ball on the bottom of the core flute like that, and it'll just skid around. So that won't be a problem, but it looks cooler if you've got your caster ball. All right, you'll need an Android phone. There's a Bluetooth app. I'll show you that. Actually, I'll show you that now. Here is the application here that I used. There are squillions of these on the internet. This one worked really nicely for me, so I'll recommend that one. If you don't have an Android phone, maybe you've got an iPhone, then I'm sure there are equivalent iPhone applications out there as well. Oh, and one more thing, I skipped this, didn't I? You'll need a battery with a battery cable. So again, the battery cable, get it from AliExpress here, very cheap. So let's have a look at how this works. All right, so first, I guess you've got your Arduino Uno. Let's draw that. There's our Arduino. Okay, now the two main components we're interested in the Arduino, we've got our Atmega chip, our microcontroller. Atmega, it's a brand name. The chip, which is the brains of the Arduino, the microprocessor, and then you've got the UART. So the UART is a universal asynchronous receiver transmitter, UART. And these Chinese Unos have got a different UART to your standard Arduinos, so that's why you need a different driver to connect to your computer. So the UART that's the device that is used for communication, for serial communication. So over here you've got your laptop, and you can connect your laptop via USB port to your UART to do your programming. Now, of course, when you're running your robot, you won't be doing that. You'll be actually communicating with Bluetooth from your phone to your Arduino, and you'll use your UART for that as well. I'll show you that later. All right, now the Arduino is not powerful enough, or the chip can't handle enough current to be able to drive a motor. If you try to drive a motor straight from an Arduino port, you will, well, one, you won't have enough power to drive the motor, and two, you're probably going to damage your Arduino. So don't do that. So you'll need that's what we need our motor driver shield for. So here's our motor driver shield. And as we mentioned before, that simply plugs in on top of the Uno. But before I do that, this piece of metal here on the Arduino, I don't want that to touch the metal or the pins on the bottom of the shield. So I'm just going to grab a little bit of electrical tape there, and I'm going to just stick a bit of electrical tape over the top like that, just to provide a little bit of insulation. There we go, that'll do. And now I can plug my shield in, just being careful to make sure I get those holes lined up on that side, get the holes lined up nicely on that side, and then I can squeeze it together. There we go. So now what I've got, let's put that over there, is I've got my driver shield, or my motor driver shield up here. Let's just call it the motor shield. Oh, how do you spell shield? Is it E-I or I-E? I probably got it wrong. I usually do. Never mind. I think I did get it wrong, didn't I? Anyway, go and talk with your English teacher about that. Sorry, not my thing. All right, so we've got a lot of connectors here. We don't have to worry about soldering that because that's just those connections between here and here. All right, now the motor shield, as we've talked about before, the motor shield drives the motors. So there's one motor there, okay, which drives our wheels. And we've got another motor here and drives those wheels. So the way we do that is we connect these wires here with a screwdriver into, so two of these wires go into these two terminals here, 1, 2, and the other two wires go into these terminals here, 1, 2. Now, which way around? You know what? I could explain which way around, but the easiest thing to do here is to just put them in, and when you run the program, if it goes backwards, then swap them around. Okay, so now let's look at how we put our Bluetooth module in. So the Bluetooth module, the Bluetooth module just plugs in to the motor shield, and this is one of the reasons I really like this motor shield. So let's just call that BT for Bluetooth. So it just plugs in here. So let me show you how that works. If I look here on the shield, there are a couple of spots where Bluetooth can go, but this one here, I've got the Bluetooth module which has got the 4 wires there, and there are 4 here. So I've just got to make sure if I look at the plus, minus, R and T, I've just got to line them up. So you've got plus power, minus power, or positive and ground. And you've got then your receive and your transmit. So I've just got to make sure I get those lined up. So that goes like, let's just see, it goes there like that. And you can see that just plugs into the shield. So again, no soldering. Really cool, huh? So let's just put him over there. And of course, the way that's going to work is when you're running your program, of course you're not connecting. Let's scribble that out. When you're running your robot, you're not connected by the UART. The only reason you're connected by your UART here is so that you can download your program into your Arduino. And in fact, when you're trying to load your program into Arduino, you need to pull your Bluetooth module out because otherwise they're going to both fight. They're both going to try to use the UART. So our motor shield actually connects the UART there to the Bluetooth module. Okay, so when we're running the program, when we're running the robot, you've got your phone over here. Turn your phone sideways like that, and it's running the application. So it'll have a little arrow up, arrow that way, arrow that way, arrow that way, and some other controls. So it'll talk via Bluetooth to your Bluetooth module, and your Bluetooth module then. Sorry, I'm just fixing this up a little bit. It's not very pretty, is it? Okay, and then your Bluetooth module talks to your UART, which talks to your chip. So in that way, your phone can control your robot there. All right, so how do we put this all together? So like I say, you're going to connect with a screwdriver. You're going to connect your two you're going to connect your two motors, one into there and one into there, by unscrewing these screws here. Poke the wire in and then screw the screw back down onto the wire. You plug your Bluetooth module in. Here we go. Make sure you get it the right way around. So VCC goes to plus, ground goes to minus, RXD goes to R, and TXD goes to T. So plus, minus, receive, and transmit are our four connectors. So they go to there. Now, here's my tip. I would assemble everything on your piece of core flute. I'm going to assemble everything with glue tack first. And once I'm happy that everything's working, in fact, I can make this thing, I can actually remote control this thing just using glue tack. Once I'm happy with everything, then I might use a glue gun, particularly for the wheels, because having those connected with glue tack, they tend to fall off a bit. But to start with, we can certainly do these with glue tack. So I'll put that, the wheels will go there, like that, underneath. I'm going to mount the battery on top like that, and then if you've managed to get a caster like I have, then that just goes underneath the battery there, like so. Oh, it's going to fall off, but it goes under there like that. If you don't have a caster, then you can just put your just glue tack again underneath. Just glue tack your ping pong ball underneath there, and it'll skid. So the wheels will still drive the robot around, and this will just skid. So anyway, let's have a look at one that I prepared earlier. Here we go. So this guy here, actually let me put my caster back on there, like so. There we go, and my 9-volt battery goes there. Again, just blue tack. Of course, you wouldn't ever glue that on, just blue tack it, because it's obviously a disposable component. Plug it in. Okay, so that's how it assembles. Now, let's look at the software side of things. As I mentioned before, the first thing you want to do when you're going to program your robot is you need to take the Bluetooth module out. So let's unplug the Bluetooth module here. Oh, carefully take that out. And the reason for that is when we plug our USB cable in and we plug this into the computer, just move that aside. In fact, we don't even need the battery when we're programming, because the USB cable will provide power. So we'll connect the program up later on when we want to test it. USB cable goes in there, so no UART, and the USB connection to the computer. That allows me then to program the robot. Once I've finished the programming, I'll take the USB cable out, put the battery back on, like that. Yep, and reconnect my Bluetooth module. In fact, I should connect the Bluetooth module first, okay, and then put the battery in after I've got everything connected, okay, and then I can actually test and run. All right, so let's have a look at the software. Okay, I will, in the comments, I'll put a link to this and make this software available to you, so this code available, so that you can download it and use it as is. But I will just quickly walk through a few things that you might need to tweak for your particular robot. So first, up here, define which pins to use. Different motor shields, if you've managed to get the exact same motor shield as me, then you can just use these settings. If your motor shield is different, you'll have to work out which pins your motor shield uses to control the motor. So here, each motor has 2 pins that control it. One pin controls the power, how fast to go, and the other pin controls the direction. So here, pin 10 controls the power for the right wheel, pin 11 controls the power for the left wheel, pin 12 controls the direction for the right wheel, pin 13 controls the direction for the left wheel. So again, you'll have to, you might have to tweak those for your robots, especially if you haven't got the same shield as me. All right. Here's the setup routine. I'm going to assume that you're familiar with Arduino and you know how to load a program into Arduino. I haven't got time to explain all that. Hopefully you know that. If you don't, maybe there are plenty of good tutorials that will help you with that. But let's just quickly have a look at the program. So the program here, this is the setup routine that is run once when you turn the Arduino on. so it just sets up the pins and says for pins 10, 11, 12, 13, or whatever we've defined those to be, will be set up as outputs. And it opens up the serial port. So it opens up the serial port so that it can listen to the Bluetooth module. Okay, and here's the main loop. So this whole section here is the main loop, which it runs, oh, and there's a little bit more down there, which it runs over and over and over. So essentially what it's doing, if serial's available, in other words, if there's any information that's come through the Bluetooth module, if you've got a control signal from your phone that's come in through the Bluetooth, it will read that signal. It'll read the character that comes from your phone. And actually, you don't need this bit, but if you're debugging, that can be useful. You can use the serial monitor on the Arduino development environment to debug a bit, but you don't actually need that bit of software to run the program, or that bit of code there. All right, so here what we're doing is if the phone sends the character F, the lowercase f, it means go forward. So what it does, it sets the direction pins low and low. That means both the left wheel and the right wheel will go forward. And here's the speed. So one of them will go forward with a speed of 220. The other one will go, the right wheel will go forward with a speed of 190. Now they're different, and you will have to tweak these because no two motors are the same. And so the motors don't always go at the same speed. And in fact, if we want to control speed accurately with an Arduino, we need to do some more sophisticated, a more sophisticated robot that provides some feedback, either using a Hall effect sensor or some sort of counter that measures speed and feeds that back to the Arduino. We're not doing that. We're just doing it very simply. So you'll have to just tweak these. So if you find that your robot is turning to the right when it's supposed to go straight, that means you need to take the power on the right wheel down a little bit. Sorry, you need to take the power on the right wheel up a bit, or the power on the left wheel down a bit. So the maximum you can drive these at is 255. The minimum is 0. So you can see I've got 220 for the left wheel and 190 for the right wheel, and that tends to make my robot go pretty straight. So you might want to play with those two numbers here. Down here, if we receive B from your phone through the Bluetooth controller, B means go backwards. So high and high means backwards, and we're going to go 150 and 150. Again, you can tweak those two values there if it's not going backwards straight. L for going left, R for going right, and X means stop. So if I press the X on the controller, it just means we're going to stop both motors completely, so turn the power to 0. You can work out the rest of the code yourself, have a look there, but I'll make it available to you. Okay, the last thing to do then is to configure our phone so that it can talk. Configure our phone so that it can talk to our Bluetooth module. So the way we want to configure this is we want to have, so that when the phone sends an L to the Arduino, it turns left, R for right, F for forward, B for backward, and X for stop, because after all, that's what we had in our program. That's what the program is listening for. So I'm going to start up this the application, the Arduino Bluetooth controller application that I showed you earlier. Just install that first from the Play Store. Start it up. Now I've got my car, my Garmin, and a little portable speaker there as my devices, but I haven't got my Bluetooth device yet for my robot. So I'm going to plug that in, power it up. Okay, and I'm just going to give that a moment or so. So now just a little bit of time for the Bluetooth module to initialize, and then I'm going to press my search button here, and it's going to look for a device, and hopefully in a second or so it'll come up with, there we go, BT048. So that's my Bluetooth controller. So I'm going to click on that. It's going to try and pair, and it needs a pin. Okay, now most of the time the pin is 0, 0, 0, 4 zeros, 5 zeros, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And as it suggests here, I'm going to try 1, 2, 3, 4 because that's the one that works for mine. Okay, and hopefully that will pair. Thinking. Okay, okay, can't connect. Let's try again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. There we go. It's connected. All right. So I want to use it in controller mode. So I'm going to click on controller mode there. Okay. So now we're in controller mode, and it looks like a little controller. There we go. So it looks like a Xbox or PlayStation. Actually, I don't play Xbox or PlayStation, but maybe you know what that one looks like. I think it's PlayStation, isn't it, with these symbols over here? All right. So what I need to do is I need to configure these. So let's have a look. I need to configure so that L is left, R is right, F is forward, B is backward, and X is stop. I think I've already done this, but let me show you where those settings are. So I'm going to click on Settings up here. Settings. Okay. And here we go. So I've already done it. So that left arrow I've configured to be L. So if you haven't done that, you'll need to get into click there, and you'll have to, I'll just undo it. Yeah, type L, and then not click somewhere else. You'll have to do, you'll have to enter that. So L for left, F for forward. So the forward arrow is going forward. R for right. B is backward. Now it's case sensitive, so make sure you get the case correct. Make sure they're all lowercase. And if I come down here, the only other button that I want to set is the X for stop. So I'll make X stop. Okay, so once I've done that, I should be able to then go back, and it should work. So let's just give that a test. If I try to go forward, there you go, forward, left, right, backwards, and stop. Terrific.